Hi everyone, I know it's been quite a few weeks since I did the last part of this video, but finally I'm bringing you the last part. So I'll just show you what I've managed to do off camera, which, as I explained, I was going to do the other bird in the same colours as the one we started this bird with. And I think I just said that I was going to finish the blue beads because I showed you how to do a few of them on each side, and then I just completed them off camera. So that's how far I've got at the minute. There's not that much left to do, but I'm going to start with the bottom of this nest, so all of this background here, and I'm going to start with the Bista, which is 179 in the polychromos. So I'm not using any other colours, I'm only using the colours that we picked out at the beginning of the project. So I'll zoom you in. There we go. And with the Bista, I'm just going to give it a quick sharpen. I want it really quite sharp. There's one of Buddy's biscuits. I'm just going to do a really light layer on the bottom. And I'm sort of using the side of the pencil, but not quite the side, but I'm making kind of like a slanted edge on the point. So I've got a nice soft area of the nib to the nib. Yeah, you know what I mean. I've got that soft kind of slanted edge, so I'm not using the point of the pencil. And I'm just going to do a light coating of this Bista. So I hope that you've all been okay. Obviously I've had a lot of things on the last few weeks with Buddy and other things, but I'm okay. And I hope that you are too. I've been watching Severance. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It's an Apple TV programme, and I've really got into it. I've just finished it now. There's 2 seasons, and I think there's 10 episodes per season, so it's not like that big of a thing to watch. But it's, if you haven't seen it, it's basically about, they've developed this technology where if you choose to become severed, it kind of splits your brain, but not splits your brain. So the best way of describing it is, when you go to work every day, when you come out of work, you can't remember what you've done at work. And when you're in work, you can't remember what you've done outside of work, or who you are, or who your family is, or anything. You don't know anything about your work and your home life, like, respectively. So there's things going on in the workplace that the outside person wouldn't have a clue about, that's happening to him every day from 9 to 5, that he doesn't know what's going on. It's a bit strange, and I'm really crap at explaining stuff, but it's I've really got into it. It's definitely a bit mind-bending, and you do have to listen, you know, you've got to concentrate, but it's good. I've enjoyed it. I've also been playing a game on my iPad that was another one of my recent hyperfixations. This game is called Good Pizza, Great Pizza, or something like that. And it's just basically building pizzas for people. And I don't know, it's just, it caught my attention, and then I think I'm on level like 200 and something now. So colouring's kind of taken a back seat for a couple of weeks, and that's okay. You know, we all have different seasons with our hobbies, don't we? We find other things that are more interesting at the time, but I think with colouring, it's the only hobby in my entire life that I've ever stuck with for this long. You know, I think it's been like 10 years since I started this, or when was it, 2014? So what's that, like 11 years. So I've never give up on it. I've never got fed up with it. I mean, sometimes, like I say, you can take breaks from it for a few weeks while you do other things, but it's the one thing that's really held my interest. So I have been missing it, and I thought the first thing I do is I've got to come on and finish this colour along before I do anything else. I've got a massive list of ideas for videos that I want to try and get through, so I'll be attempting to do some more content over the next few weeks. And like I say, whenever I do a colour along in the future, because I do want to do one in dark Fairytales, I'm going to film the entire thing before I tell anybody or put anything out, because I know what I'm like. If I start it and do it in parts, I'll never get to the blooming end of it. So I'm just going to make sure that I complete it first, so that I'm not letting anyone down, really. Right, so that's a very light coating of the Bista pencil. I'm going to come in now with the other colour that we chose, which was walnut brown. Give it a sharpen. And I'm going to attempt to make some shadows on this. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be realistic, but I'm going to attempt it. So with the walnut brown, which is 177 from the Polychromos, I'm going to come underneath this egg and do a bit of a drop shadow here. Like I said, this isn't going to be realistic, it's just going to give a little bit more depth. And then I might have to twist the page, I think. Can you still see? Yeah, you can still see. Come under here. Now, obviously, I'm not doing this as light with pressure as I did the first colour, because I want to try and build up these shadows. Maybe done this a little bit too thick here, but I'm just going to go with the flow. I'll thicken it up around here, and then hopefully it won't look as strange. So I can't remember if I've talked about it before, I probably have, but Emily's got a new colouring book coming out. I think it's next year, spring 2026, I reckon. And it's the same publisher, so she's continued her work with Better Day Books to create a whole new colouring book, and I'm so excited, because as much as I love Sagar Oksagna and this book, it's been such a long time, I feel, since we've had anything new from Emily. I know there's a few pages in this book that are brand new, but entire book wise, you know, I cannot wait. And I've seen some of the sort of sneak peek images that she's been putting out on her Instagram, and they look amazing. I just really can't wait, because I know it's going to be another very high quality colouring book. And obviously the illustrations speak for themselves, but that's definitely sort of my #1 most anticipated book for next year. I don't think we have a title yet, though. I'm going to guess it's something along the same lines. So Fairytales, sort of like mythological things, different myths from different countries, maybe different legends. I don't know. I'm just sort of spitballing, but I just can't wait. So this is most definitely not how the actual shadow would probably look, but I'm just going with it anyway. I'm going to pretend that our light source is up here in the corner, up there, and that we're getting this kind of drop shadow behind. But I'm not too fussed. So yeah, I hope you're all okay. Let me know in the comments what you've been up to and if you're all right. Buddy is doing absolutely fantastically. He is asleep in his bed at the minute, but he's taken himself off there to go to sleep. Now, you know from the last few videos I've done, it was kind of impossible for me to colour and watch him at the same time, because I was kind of worried about him messing on the carpet or, you know, whatever. I'm pretty sure he's toilet trained, but I'm not certain, because with it being spring here in the UK, I've been leaving the back door open at all times, and you know, he's got complete access to it, so he can go from the living room to the kitchen to the back door to the outside. He's not restricted in any way, and he has been taking himself off outside down the bottom of the garden to do his business. So there's been no accidents in the house while that back door's been open. What I don't know is if ever, you know, if it gets to winter and we've got to shut the back door, is he going to let us know that he needs to go out? I don't know. But at the minute, I'm just so happy that he's actually taking it upon himself to go outside now. Which is obviously a massive improvement from where he was. Just got to turn this again. You can still see. So yeah, I'm so proud of him. He's done so well. I just don't know whether or not he would know to tell us to let him out, but hopefully he will. And the more time that we can leave that door open and get him used to going outside for the toilet, then hopefully he'll just know automatically in the future that he has to go outside. But yeah, he's learnt loads of different tricks. I've been teaching him, and he's so quick to pick things up. So for most of them, the tricks that I've taught him, he's learnt them within 15 minutes. And I'm the one that's teaching him all the tricks, so I think I'm like his person. You know how they say poodles sometimes, they pick a person, so they love everybody, but they pick a person. I think I'm his person, and I love that, because as much as we all love Rosie, she was my husband's. You know, she stuck with my husband all the time, and I think that Buddy is a bit more sort of attached to me, which is, it's lovely. It's almost like having another baby. He's my little baby. But so yeah, we've taught him. What have I taught him? So the first thing was sit, and then I think he did paw after that, but the trainer helped with that. We had a woman come in. She was basically training me, not training Buddy, you know, telling me all the things I should do to make him successful in everything we want. But she kind of showed me how to do paw. And then the rest of them I did with him, like when we're on our own. So he can do spin, he can do down, so he can get down on his paws, lying down, and he can do roll over. So yeah, he's got lots of different tricks up his sleeve. It's quite funny though, sometimes you'll hold his treat up and he'll look at you, and then he'll go straight into a sit, down, roll over without you even saying anything. He's like, just give me the treat. But yeah, he's such a joy. He's still biting the ever-living crap out of me and everyone else, but puppy, it's normal. You know, they're land sharks, aren't they? And I'm hoping that as he gets a bit older and he gets his adult teeth, that will calm down, because it's the same with every dog, isn't it? It's not unusual, it's very common. But we do all the things, like we try and offer him a swap. So if he's got something that he shouldn't have, ranging from my husband's slippers to my skin, we will try and offer him a swap for something like a chewy, something that he's allowed to bite on. And that works quite well until you've not got anything on you and he's hanging off your arm. But no, it's so funny. He's so funny. He's also doing really well at walking off lead, and I was super worried about that. I was thinking at the time, I don't know if I actually want him to be an off-lead dog, because it's not him that you've got to worry about, it's other people, you know, other dogs. But also, because he is quite over, you know, he's hyperactive and he's over-friendly, and he's sometimes, like I say, he can nip in play. I wouldn't want him to like run off and get excited and there's a toddler or something on the park and he nips them, you know. So I was really worried about that. But we've been working on it, and as long as the park's not too busy, so I take him sort of like after 6 o'clock in the evening, it's not too busy, that I can let him off the lead. And if any other dogs are there, he will go up and give them a kiss, you know, he'll be nose to nose with them. But that's as far as he kind of goes, unless the other dog is being too kind of over forceful with him, and in that case he'll sort of run off. But he's been okay. And people, he does run up to people, but I've found lately that he's actually listening to me now. So if I shout him when he's running up to somebody, maybe 7 times out of 10 he will come back to me. So he's getting there. He's doing really well. And I've got him so focused on me now when we're out. And the way that I did it was, every single time he's off the lead, or even on the lead, and he's walking ahead of me, and every time he turns around and makes eye contact with me, I would give him a treat. So now when I go out for a walk, it's non-stop him just staring up at me as we walk, waiting for the next treat. Then he'll run off a little bit forward and then come back, you know, so he knows he's like waiting for the next one. But I suppose, you know, there's nothing we can do about that. That's just the way that they learn, I suppose. And maybe after time he won't need to come back for that treat, if you know what I mean. Who knows? Who knows? This wouldn't have taken me that long, by the way. I can't move on to the next item while still speaking. I can't concentrate on two things at a time. So we've done those 2 eggs. What about this one? So again, I'm thinking the light source is coming from this direction. So I think we'd have a bit under here, wouldn't we? But not really too much. Just going to sharpen this again because it's losing its point slightly. So yeah, he's doing fantastically. Sleep-wise, he's doing well. It's different every night, but most nights he goes to sleep at 10:30, goes in his crate, and occasionally he will wake up in the night for the toilet, and he'll scrabble on the door, or he'll make little whine noises, and then we can let him out, and he goes straight outside, does his business. It's not like he's begging to be let out and then messing around. So, you know, obviously don't mind that at all. It's my husband who sort of deals with him at night anyway, because he's an insomniac, so he's either asleep or he's not, but most times he's not. Anyway, but other than that, it's between sort of 6 o'clock and 7:30 that Buddy will wake up. And yesterday he didn't actually wake up until 9:15. So he got such a lot of cuddles and praise for that. I couldn't believe it. You know, he slept that long. It's unheard of for him. But my husband said sometimes he does sort of make a little noise in the night as if he wants to get out. Say if my husband goes to the toilet, he can hear that my husband's gone. So he starts kind of whimpering a little bit. And then my husband will say, "Night, Buddy," you know. I'm trying not to talk because he can hear me. I'm trying not to say his key words. But and then he'll just settle straight away. But I think he knows when he starts really like banging on the cage, that's when he needs to go out. So it's just like following his signs really, and just knowing his personality and what means what, if you know what I mean. So I'm just going to do a little bit of cast shadow on this. Sort of going a little bit further, but I'm doing it lighter as well. You can make it quite dark right up underneath the subject, as long as you sort of fizzle it out as you go away from it. But the great thing about polychromos is you can layer that in. Sometimes with Prismas, as amazing as they are, you can tend to go in a little bit too hard too fast. But at least with this you can build it up. Now then, let's have a look. So where would I have shadows from the necklaces and the pearls? So I guess the first one, the easiest one, is this big pearl up here, where we would have the same direction of shadow as this, because they're on the same level. So that's easy. I'll put that in and just tapering it slightly. You don't have to be spot on. I'm certainly not. As long as it gives the illusion that you've made an effort to put some kind of shading in there, then to be honest, it doesn't really matter if you've got it spot on and realistic. So I've just done a bit there, nothing extra special, but Like I say, it just adds that bit of depth. And then we would, of course, have some shadow underneath the bird. So get you lined up. I'm just going to do a thick, dark line under there and then work back from it. It's sometimes easier that way. So I'm just loosening my pressure on the pencil as I come away from the subject. So dark there, and then lifting the pencil as you move away. So did anyone hear about the earthquake in Turkey and Greece over, when was it? I don't know if it was Monday or Tuesday. Early hours of the morning they had an earthquake in Turkey. I think the epicentre was about 6 miles from where my son is currently. He's on holiday in Turkey with my sister and her boyfriend. And it was the middle of the night. It was about 2:15, something like that in the night. And there was like a big, the first thing that they knew, they said, was like a rumble noise. It was like someone was running down the corridor outside the hotel room, or, you know, a big truck going past. It was that kind of, that's what they thought it was, because they were half asleep, obviously. And then everything started shaking. So that's when they knew. Quite scary. My sister was a bit scared. My son, he was loving it. He was so buzzed that he'd been in an earthquake. I mean, he studies geography at university at the minute. So any kind of like natural phenomenon like that, he loves it, and he's never been in an earthquake before. So I know they're devastating, and I'm not trying to like glorify earthquakes or anything, but he was, because it was over and done with so quick, he didn't really have a chance to get scared. He was just like, oh, it's an earthquake, and then it had gone, and then he was like, oh my gosh, I've just been in an earthquake, you know what I mean? So that was, I'm just so glad that I didn't hear about it on the news before I spoke to them, because what it was I woke up in the morning and there was a message on my phone from them saying, there's just been an earthquake. It was like so weird and blah, 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 you know, all this stuff. So straight away I knew that they were okay. But if I'd have heard it on the news that there was an earthquake in the south of Turkey, I would have been like, oh my God, trying to get in touch and everything. So I'm really happy that I didn't know about it, and I was just blissfully unaware as I was sleeping. But yeah, they're all fine. So that was just something else from this week. I'm just trying to think of, you know, things I can update you on, really. So I've done a bit of a drop shadow underneath the bird. I quite like that, actually. I think that's come out quite well. Would there be any here? Maybe just a slight bit. Just pop that little bit in there. Okay. So I'm just looking where I need to drop them from. There'd be a little bit here. I am going to do this in gold, by the way, this frame around the blue gem. A little bit of cast shadow there. And then we've got the individual little pearls. So again, I'm just doing a harder layer of pressure around the base of the pearl, and then lightening my pressure as I come away from it and sort of tapering my stroke. So it's almost coming to a point, but a soft point, very curved. And that will just give, like I said, the impression of a bit of shadow. Same on this one. Just bring that out a little bit more. It's not perfect at all. But anyway, same under here. You can see that, can't you? And then just carry on, really. I thought I would do this bit, you know, on camera in real time, because different objects would have different shapes of shadow and stuff like that. So I didn't want to kind of leave you alone with that. I thought it would be quite interesting for you to watch where I would put the shadows, just off of the top of my head with no artistic knowledge. It's just, you know, whatever I think, wherever I think they would go. I think that needs to be slightly darker, this one. And then this one. It's probably a bit too much shadow there. I've not tapered it off enough, but hey ho. Now then, there's this one up here. I'm just thinking about the long strings of beads and where the shadow would be for them. And I think coming from this way, it would be kind of offset down here, wouldn't it? I think, I don't know. I'm just going to draw some bead shapes, smaller bead shape, and try and draw what might look like the shadow of this string. Might not as well, but we'll see. Would curve this way, wouldn't it? Smaller bead, bigger bead. And it would have a bit more of a harsh shape, I think. I don't know. Does that look like it could be a shadow? Just going to fill that in a little bit more, make it more crisp. That looks kind of rubbish at the minute. But I'm hoping once we come back in and do the vista around it, it will improve. I don't know. I know that you don't watch my channel for technicality, because that's not what you're going to get. This one. It would be on this side, wouldn't it? But it'd just be away from it, I guess. This is draped over the side of the nest. This is on the base of the nest, and then this curves a little bit. Maybe I'm overthinking this too much. Just get on with it, Claire. Just do some random shapes. And hopefully, like I said earlier, you don't have to do it perfectly, because just having made the effort to put some shading in, when you get someone glancing at it, they won't see all these technically wrong things. It will just be, oh, that looks 3D, you know. So I'm just putting in basic shapes. And then we'll meet up again here, because that's where it kind of touches the base of the nest again. Yeah, that's a little bit crap, but we'll see. And then I guess, sun coming this way. There wouldn't be any cast shadow here then, would there? I was thinking about under here, but no, I don't think there would. I don't know, I've not been to art school. There'd probably be some up here though, right? I don't know. It is what it is. Right, I think I've done all the shadows that I want to do. I'm going to come back in now with the Bista. This is the colour that we started with, and we did it really, really lightly just to do a base coat. Now I'm going to go from every shadow and put a bit more pressure on this pencil because I want it to blend in. But I'm not going to fill in the entire sort of blank space in the middle. I'm going to leave a little bit of the undercoat, the base coat showing, just for variation. It's nothing, again, that would be realistic. It's just variation for the sake of a coloured illustration. Now you might find as well, when you start putting this bistre in, that you lose, obviously, the contrast of the darker colour against the white of the paper. And it doesn't look as, you know, the shading doesn't look as good and as poppy outy as you might think it should. And we can come back in and sort that out. I just want to get this kind of rich, warm honey tone back in, and then we can rework the shadows as our kind of final piece of the puzzle. Yeah, so if you start from where you've done your hazy shadows around your item and then pull out, drag out, that should blend quite nicely. So for this part, I'd recommend that you keep your pencils quite sharp. I'm going to turn the book around because it's just going to be easier to start really filling in that tooth if you've got a sharper point. Obviously, when we were doing the base coat, we wanted the opposite of that effect. You can still see some of those pencil lines, so you can work over those areas going in different directions. So if you've coloured it this way, try and then colour it this way, cross hatch it, and that should start to get rid of any pencil lines and flatten it out, look a bit smoother. Let's start from here. Am I on camera? I have to keep checking if I'm on camera. So yeah, what have you guys been up to? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's happened recently that I can fill you in on, because you are like my little extended family. At least I like to think so. But no, I don't think so. Quite a boring life, but that's how I like it. That's how I like it. With my kind of health issues, mental and physical, I can't sort of enjoy a quote-unquote normal life, you know, with going out and socialising and holidaying and stuff like that. So boring life for me is the best thing. Obviously I can fantasise about being a career woman that jet sets across the world and all this kind of stuff, but that's not the hand that I've been given. So I think the best thing to do, instead of dwelling on that, is to accept it as quickly as you can and get the best out of life that you can manage. Do you know what I mean? There's no point dwelling on it, which is, it's easier said than done. I understand that. But again, it could always be worse. Do you know what I mean? That's how I think of it. Could always be worse. I don't kind of let myself worry about stuff like that anymore, or not worry, but be jealous of, I guess, covet being one of these people that can do anything she wants. I try not to, because I gauge everything now. Everything bad I gauge on, it's not the nausea. So don't, you know, if I put weight on, which I have, instead of me sat there thinking you're getting fat, blah blah blah, I'll just think, don't moan about your weight, it's not the nausea. You can still function and be overweight. Can't function with that. So everything's gauged on that, really. I don't let myself moan about anything. I can't remember if I told you on a previous video, but I went for an ultrasound scan and they told me that I've got a big kidney stone in my right kidney. It's like 10 millimeters, so it's classed as quite big. And that is really worrying me. I'm trying not to think about it as much as possible, but I know that they can just strike at any time. And I've seen from my husband how incredibly, almost indescribably painful a kidney stone can be. It's one of the worst pains. And I'm just not here for it. I'm not, I don't know how I'm going to cope. I'm just hoping, you know, it just stays where it is for the rest of my life, but I guess that's unlikely. But yeah, they didn't ultrasound. They were doing an abdominal ultrasound for my gallbladder, because, you know, I've got polyps. And they normally do like a whole ultrasound scan of your abdomen while they're there, just to check other things. And that's when they saw this kidney stone. And then after that, they sent me for a CT scan to confirm that it's a kidney stone, which I haven't had the results back of yet. I'm kind of clinging to the very small hope of, actually, it was a cyst, we got it wrong, you know. Because that's, I do not want to experience a trapped stone. So try not to think about it. But, you know, medical things take up a lot of my brain space. I've got, you know, health anxiety and stuff. It's not to the point where I'm like, I feel a pain and I think I'm dying of cancer or something, you know. It's not that kind of health anxiety. It's just I for some reason I can't cope with being ill. Not like a cold or, you know, some kind of horrible, but, you know, not horrendous bug. I can cope with that. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's the feeling of being trapped in my body and not being able to control how I'm feeling, and having to just sit and ride out sort of torturous feelings. I'm kind of phobic of it. You know, I feel like, as I've said before, I've got like PTSD from what happened in Italy, and I don't say that lightly. I really do think it's traumatized me. And, you know, various other things that have happened before that, the different noroviruses that I had that kind of caused and kicked off this phobia of the nausea, and then the nausea cycles and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so it's, I'm not, my brain is just constantly thinking about stuff like this. But anyway, you don't want to hear about this all the time. I know I go on about my medical things, and I don't mean to. It's just, it's nice to just get it off my chest, you know. And I've got a very, very brilliant best friend who I can talk to all this about. But I don't know, sometimes it's nice to put it out in the world, because I guess it will make other people that are feeling a little bit of what I'm feeling not as alone and a bit more relatable. And getting these things out there and talked about is only going to be of help, isn't it? It's not going to hinder anyone. It's only going to be of help to anyone that might be feeling the same, I suppose. That's how me and my best friend Laura, that's how we met, you know, through me talking about my experiences on here. And now we've become incredibly close friends. So I guess speaking, it's always good to talk, isn't it? It's always good to talk. In better news, I've been quite excited because there are rumours and rumblings and grumblings that Radiohead are going to do another tour. And I've never seen them live because I've only gotten into the band over maybe the past 4 or 5 years. And I think the last time they did a tour was like 10 years ago. I didn't used to like them. They were my dad's favourite band, and I didn't used to like them. I didn't get it. They're very much an acquired taste, and their music is mostly, a lot of the time, quite unusual. And it takes time, I found, and people I spoke to on like Reddit and stuff in the Radiohead groups, it takes time for a Radiohead song to, you've got to sit with it for a while, and then eventually it just clicks and you're like, how could I never have thought this was a masterpiece of a song? You know, it's very odd. And I think you have to be in a certain place of your life and a certain age to appreciate some of what they're saying and relate to it. And that's probably why it's taken me, you know, up into my 30s, late 20s, 30s, to, you know, appreciate them as musicians. And now that's pretty much all I listen to is Radiohead. Like, they've become my absolute favourite band, and if they do tour, I will probably end up selling, I was going to say I'd sell my kidney then, but it's got a great big stone in it, so nobody would want it, would it? But if they tour again, I have got to go. It's like, it's become a bucket list thing for me. But yeah, there's been rumblings of it because they've set up a new LLC, like a limited company in the name, and I don't know, there's been other things that have been said of why they might be hinting at doing a tour soon and possibly a new album. So I'm excited for that. I hope it happens. I'm always so jealous when my dad tells me about when he's seen them, because he saw them on the Ben's tour and the OK Computer tour, which are like two of their best albums, back in the late 90s. And it's obviously, I didn't give a shit back then because I didn't like him. I was Westlife girl. But yeah, it's crazy to think that he's kind of seen them at their best and in their heyday, so to speak. And yeah, but anyway, it's like I said, that's all I've been doing last few weeks, is watching Severance, playing Good Pizza Great Pizza, and listening to Radiohead. But I listen to them every single day. It's so funny. I looked at my is it like the top played or whatever that happens at the end of every year? You can see what you played on Spotify or Apple Music, and it was literally all Radiohead. So I think I'm sort of like, I was going to say marginally obsessed, but probably slightly more than marginally. I love them. I love the music. Right, I've waffled enough. Let's see where I'm at. So I've put in, you know, all the different bits of Vista around the different shadows, and I've sort of blended those out. Now we have, you know, lost the clarity and the contrast of the darker shadows that we put down, so that is going to be replaced right now. And we're going to go back to our walnut brown. Sometimes it is a case of backwards and forwards until you've burnished and you're happy with the final result. So with your very sharp walnut brown, you will go to the very edges of the subjects that you have put shadow beneath, and you will use medium heavy pressure to bring those shadows back out. I know I've gone over the line there, but I don't care. So just replacing these shadows, and you should still have enough tooth. If you've used light enough layers, you should still have enough tooth to replace those shadows. And they should kind of automatically start to blend, because we've now put two different layers of the Vista down. So this kind of third layer, fourth layer over the top, you should manage to sort of glide across the pigments, and there should be a nice saturated, full, smooth blending going on. Let's get under here. What else has happened? It's like a little catch up, isn't it, with friends? It was my birthday the other day, I don't really like my birthday, to be honest. I don't know why. It's an uncomfortable day for me, and I don't know why. Probably because I'm someone that hates attention. I don't like being the centre of attention. I literally had 2 witnesses at my wedding, no one else. I couldn't bear the thought of walking down the aisle with everyone staring at me. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea of how much I hate being in the centre of attention. I've probably told you that before, but you know when I've said something to someone, I can't actually remember whether I've said it or not, so that's why I repeat myself a lot. But yeah, it was my birthday. I'm 37, which I realise is not old, before any of you over 37s come at me. But I don't know, it feels very strange to be kind of coming up to 40, which is the next big milestone. Because, you know, you think about 40 when you're younger, and it just seems like some age you're never going to be, you know, somehow. But there's some people that don't make it to this age, so, you know, you've got to be grateful, I guess. But yeah, I've started waking up with a backache every morning. That's a given now. And I'm starting to grow grey hairs. I've got, like, by the side of my temples, that's where I normally get greys. So it's very strange to me, because in my brain I'm still like 16. You know, I'm still immature and I'm not an adult, but to me 37, 40 sounds like an adult age, and I don't feel like I quite match with that. But I suppose that's the same for everybody. You know, as you get older, you realise your parents were just grown-up kids. That's all they are. They're not the gods that you think of them as, because they're so much older than you and everything. They're just you a bit further down the line. They're just a human that's a bit further down the line. So yeah, it's funny. I guess I'm at that age now where I'm not cool enough to the young people and I'm not old enough to really be in with the old people either. So I'm kind of in the middle. Right, so did we do this one? Can't remember. Don't think so. Okay, I think we've done all the main shadows of the egg and stuff. Let's go ahead and try and bring back these shadows a little bit. These have got really, really tiny little in-between beads, so I don't know why I'm doing these large ones. Oh well. As long as you sort of try and offset your shadow away from where the sun is shining, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me anyway. Yeah, it's pretty crap. That shadow is pretty crap. I thought it might improve, you know, with layering, but it hasn't. So what I might do is I might get some blending solution and give that a whack, see what that's like. See, I'm not really putting a lot of effort into this. But right, blending solution then. I've had these for about 10 years and they're kind of getting low, but still plenty left. Open sesame. Why can't I open this? What's going on? Push to twist. No, it's not having it. It's stuck somewhere. Let's try this one, which has kind of dyed a little bit blue, but anyway, there's a little bit left in there. Let's grab a brush, dip it in, and I always use too much of this stuff and get told off for it, but don't care. Oh, it stinks. Right, I've got my nightie over my mouth now. I'm just going to cover this in blending solution and hope that it blurs these shadows just a little bit more so that there's no real definition there and no one's going to look too closely at it. I've got to put that lid back on just a bit more. That is strong stuff. It's solvent, so make sure you're in a well ventilated area, which is the advice that I need to be giving, because it's the proper advice. The back door is open, so I guess I'm in a ventilated area. Okay, so I'm just going over. I'm not scrubbing the brush into it, I'm just kind of lightly wafting it over. And going into all the bits that are light, and you can see a lot of tooth. And this will help to break down the binder that's in the pencil. So polychromo is predominantly oil based, so this will help to break down the oil binder, and the pigments should hopefully take over and look nice and blended. It's starting to evaporate on the brush, so I'm sort of using a little bit more fiddly strokes to get certain areas to blend. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. These are all just experiments, you know, my channel. It's not anything that's tried and tested and always going to work out. I am, however, going to come back in with the walnut brown, because you know when you've put a layer of this blending solution down, it sits on the paper for a bit, so it almost acts as a melty solution on the end of your pencil. Not saying this is good for your pencils, but it's just what I do. And I've noticed that when you go over it after you've put a layer down, you get so much more rich pigment come off the pencil. So I'm just gonna like fill in a bit of this and see if I can properly deepen up some of the shadows that we've got going on. So like underneath, see there's none on there, I can feel it straight away. It doesn't slide. When there's no blending solution, it doesn't slide. It slides against the paper and it just brings out a much richer saturation of colour. Because if I'm right, then blending solution, it's not to be put on at the end of the project, it's to be put on at the sort of midpoint of where you're ready, you know, your layers. So maybe after 1 or 2 layers, then you go in with the blending solution and then you go in over the top with more pencil. That's kind of what I do anyway. Don't know if it's right or wrong. I also use my finger sometimes just to mush out any areas that aren't as blendy as I want them to be while it's still wet. So just add in a few more shadows. And again with the Bister, if there's any areas that I want to fill in a bit more, the blending solution just makes it a lot easier work. Now, you know how I said I'm not happy with like the shadows and what it looks like at the minute? There is one solution that always fits all, and that is a white gel pen. We're going to cover this in white gel pen. and it's going to really distract anyone's eye from thinking what the hell is going on with the bottom of that nest. Just going to go over some of these darker ones with the Bista pencil because that's going to blur them out a little bit more. I know I did try and like re-clarify them, if that's even a word, but now I'm trying to blend them because I'm not happy. Just grab that brush back and get that blended out a little bit more. So that'll do. Right, so now I've done that, I need to think about making a bit more texture on the bottom of this. So you know how we've got these tiny little dots? I'm thinking about maybe using a dark brown Posca to bring in some texture. So let's grab the Poscas. Don't know if this is the only brown I've got, I think. Have I got any in the bigger size? Is this the same? Yep. I don't think I've got another brown. Sorry for the noise, guys. What colour is this? This is an Artex marker, but it's really thick. Oh, it's quite orange. Don't want that. Right, let's just stick with this one. See how that comes out. If it's too light or too dark, we'll soon find out. Okay, so it's a reddish brown. It's a medium saturation. I'm going to do this, and I am going to find a darker brown. If I can't find one, I'll do it with pencil. But I'm going to just colour all these lines in first, these little circle lines. Because, you know, dots, they distract the eye. No one's going to look at the crap mess that I've done of the bottom of the nest if I distract them with loads of shiny dots. I always start on this side, and I always say to myself, oh, why didn't you start this side and work back? Because now I'm going to smudge it. Let me turn the book. I think that's all of them. Sure, they're covered. I'm just going to look for a darker one in a different set. So, got the Ohuhu ones here. Let's have a look what's in there. Now these are brush markers, so not ideal for dots, but I'll just do my best. You can see them a little bit. Definitely you can see them over the lighter areas, but when we get into like where the Van Dyke Brown is, you can't see them too well, so I'll just do a few. No rhyme or reason to this. Just doing it where I think, and I'm doing the dots varied in thickness as well. So some areas I'm just tapping the very point of the brush to the pencil, to the paper, and then some ones like that I'm just doing them a little bit thicker. Variation of texture is again another little trick to draw people's eyes away from things you don't want them to focus on. That'll do. Do we have another brown in this set? This one might be too light. You know what? It might be perfect. Let's just do some really small bits of this. I think this might be just right, actually. So we've got like a dark, a medium and a light variation. Buddy's just come along to have a look in the drawer I've just opened to get these pens out, and he's now sniffing at all the paints. Be careful, boy. No, that's not for you. That's not for you. He tried to grab this. Let's close that up. Keep you out of mischief. Hopefully you can see like the difference these dots are making in just, you know, tearing your attention away from what you've done wrong. Inverted commas. Nothing's wrong, but you know what I mean. Some over here. How's that? I think that might do. What do you guys reckon? You can't tell me, you're not here. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I've still got loads to do with a white paint pen anyway. I wonder how opaque these are. I can't remember. I know I've just reviewed them like not long ago, but I can't remember. So if we have light coming from this side, we would have a stripe of highlight there, wouldn't we? Point it at the ends. Follow the curve of the line work. It might not even work, I don't know. Does this line look proper, like a proper highlight, or not? Again, you can't answer me. Let me do this one. Pretty opaque, this Ohuhu white. That's good. Always good to have very opaque white paint pens for your highlights. And then this, I guess, I don't know, would there be some across the top? Maybe a little bit further in. I don't know. Maybe I should do one right up against the line on this side. Quite narrow and thin. Mess that up. I don't know. Has that ruined the whole thing? Maybe. How about if I get the clay rose pencil that we used for the eggs, find the one that's the most dry, and I'll do a very light sprinkle of this clay rose. Now, will it just rip the paint off the page, or will it go over the top? It looks like it's going over the top. And what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to dull this highlight a little bit so that it doesn't look as glaring. Just go around the edges so the edges aren't as crisp as well. Some areas the paint's starting to come up, but maybe I could have done with a less opaque pen. You see my thought process bounces from one thing to another. I try things, and if it doesn't work out, I just try different things on top, and then hopefully get to a result where I'm satisfied. I don't know, I think that looks kind of crap. This one's just done what I wanted it to do straight away. The other two, the wax of the pencil is clinging on to the white of the pen far too much. Now I need a thin white. Will this work? I'm just trying to, I know it looks like I'm going backwards and forwards, putting things down, then taking it off and then putting it down again. I'm just trying to get a little bit more of a subtle shine going on, I suppose. But I think I've probably wrecked it. Are colour alongs meant to be experimental? Or am I supposed to be doing everything right so that you follow and do it right as well and don't mess up? I'm putting them all back in now, as you can tell, because I'm unhappy. And I think that that looks better than what I just tried to do, even though I'm not happy with it. Right. You know what they say? Dots. Is that going to help? I don't know. How good is this one? How bright is that? It's pretty bright. Anything that's a bit duller. Hey, maybe I should put this over the highlight. So that it's not white. No, that's weird. Claire, stop messing about, just get it done. No, I don't like that. I'm going to go back over that with white. Right, put them away and move on. I need to paint the gold in, don't I, on this? So, I'll grab the gold paint. I've got my water brush. So let's, oh, is there any water in this, please? I've already been through enough. Come on, come on. There's a tiny weeny bit, it might be enough. So I'm just going to fill this in, these little bars. I might even bring some silver into it. See, that's annoying, the different widths. I started off colouring the little bars and now I'm colouring the bits in between. I think Emily must have missed out a bar somewhere. Naughty, Emily. Right, okay. Just want to add a little bit more gold to that because I feel like I probably brushed it off with my hand. Right, so we've got that. Now let's do a bit of silver on the other bits. I'm just trying to make the tiny bit of water that I've got in my brush work so I don't have to get up and refill it. This is a silver called Bejazzle. Hey, did I miss? I think I missed it. My fault, not Emily's, sorry. This is called Bejazzle. It's KJ designed by Karen. It's the only paints I ever use. And it is so sparkly. You probably can't even tell. I think I used it on the key, didn't I? Are you guys like totally done with this colour along now? Because I am. I'm done with it. I feel like I'm just doing a very poor job. Okay. While I've got a very tiny bit of water in my brush, I will just re-add some of that chrome. Now, do I want to do sparkly bits on the birds? I think so. Okay, right. Sparkly bits. I'm going to need water, aren't I? Bear with. Okay, right. I've got some water. Sparkly bits on the birds. You know what though, before I do that, I'm going to put this back in because I can't sit and look at that pink anymore. Just tapering these edges a little bit. I know I've gone over the line. I think I've ruined those, haven't I? Putting that over it. Doesn't matter, Claire, get on with it. Right, sparkles on the birds. Let's use some really nice blue sparkles on the birds because we've got a lot of blue on this. And I want to try and keep it cohesive. So if I just get my other paint palette out, let's see what blues I can use. I want something quite deep and dark to match the darkest colour of the pearls. So I just wonder about this one. Don't know what it's called. It hasn't got a name on it. Hasn't got a name on it, but it might work. Okay, start up here. This is a metallic, not a glitter. But I don't want to go like too bright and fun and saturated because this is, at the end of the day, a pretty desaturated palette that we've used to colour this. You know, this is the colour card that we used and it's not the brightest. So it's got a kind of vintagey look about it, and I think that this deep navy midnight blue... Can you even see what I'm doing? No. That's it. There we go. I've just done these 3 bits on the tail. I think that this will... I think it'll fit in really nicely with the palette, hopefully. Just looking at what Buddy's doing. He's round my feet now. Remember the last time he was here and he pooed? You're not going to do that this time, are you, Bud? Don't jinx it, Claire. I'm just going to do the like teardrop shapes with this colour, and then I might do something slightly different for the circles. But he's just tried to close the drawer on his own. Oops, went out of the line a bit there. That's okay. He's sat underneath the desk now, near my feet. Oh, now he's licking my toe. You don't need to know any of this, guys. I didn't need to tell you, but I can't keep my mouth shut. Very, very awkward socially, because I'll just say things and that maybe I should have not said. Right. Here we go. I think that's all the like little teardrop shapes. I think I've just missed some on his head. By the way, if you haven't got any paints, you don't need to do this. You can just colour them with a dark blue or whatever it is that you have. I'm just trying to add a little bit more metallic-y sparkliness to it. Right, let's put that one back. Oh. Now what do I want? I want something desaturated green. Have I got something like that? Well, this is not overly desaturated, it's quite bright. This is called Artemisia, this one. I don't know how it's going to look, it might be too bright, but we'll soon see. I'm just doing it for these little circles. Oh, that's not too bad. It's not too bad. I thought it might be, you know, really glaring. A bit too much water on the paint, so I'm just trying to thicken it a bit. Oh, gone right out the circle there. What are you chewing? No, we're not chewing cables today. How do you hide your cables from your dogs? Seem to have cables everywhere and it's not good. They're not plugged in, but still. Right, let's go down here. There's a few little tiny dots just above the eye. I can just put those in. I think we might be nearing completion. I think we've filled everything in, haven't we? We've filled all the lines in, it's just messing around now, I suppose. So I'll put that one back. Hey, I wonder if I put this peachy colour as the highlights on the, oh, that was too much water. If I put this as the highlights maybe on the eggs, it might tone it down a bit. I don't know, I'm just grasping at straws. Oh, I've just smudged that. It was bound to happen. I smudge things every single time I get my paints out. Right, okay, let's have a look. Will this look odd? Probably. I don't know, it kind of matches the Bista colour that's on the bottom, the pencil colour. So, I mean, it's got a tie-in at least. Let me look through the camera. Yeah, it's pretty crap. I've really ruined those eggs, haven't I, doing that? I'm really annoyed. Should have kept them as they were. And I think I've done too many layers now to even attempt to try and scrape it off. I don't know. Let's let it dry and then I'll see. What else do I want? Let's put the paints away. I think we're done with the paints. Where do I want to put some white pen? What else do I want to ruin? I don't know, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just do a little, you know, a few little tiny white dots. It's still got a bit of pink on it, so at least it's not bright white. I'm not going to do as many of these though. Just as a little twinkle. Gosh, I hope you've had your dinner, guys. This is a really long video. Feel free to turn me off and listen at a later date. Maybe when you go to bed tonight and you can't sleep, because that'll help. Yeah, sometimes the nibs are too thick. And I don't know where I put my thin Posca white. Things just disappear. I blame Buddy. Okay, yeah, so the peach, it's not quite dry yet. I would normally get a really sharp blender pencil and then try and remove. Oh, yeah, hang on a minute. No. It may work. We could make an even bigger mess though. That's the probability. I just hope you guys haven't followed this step by step by step and made a complete mess of yours. This is why I'm worried about actually putting this colour along out there. You know what? I think we might get away with this. If I just rub over that with my finger and blur it a little bit, it can look like we actually meant to make it look rounded there with a blurred bit on the edge. Don't know if this is quite dry. I need it to be sharper. It's got to be really sharp. This one's not coming off as good, is it? Have I could do like a razor blade or something to, what's this? I've got this old pen here that's got a really sharp metal edge. Will that help? Or will it just rip up the paper? Who knows at this stage? I'm just hoping that a little bit of smudgy with my finger will make this look like we actually meant to have it there. Oh my goodness. Hey, this one's not bad at all. Oh no, it's starting to rip the paper. I might put a disclaimer on the front of this video at the start and just say, beware, I do mess up quite a bit in this video. Please watch it first before you start to colour along so you don't ruin your page. What was I thinking? I made these gorgeous little shiny eggs and then I messed them up. I'm really annoyed at myself. I can probably get these bits, put these back in. I don't know if I go over them with the pencil. No, you can still really see the line of where I've tried to do something. It's very dull and dirty. I'm just wondering, here I go again, just wondering if I put in a very thin highlight over the top, that might look okay. I just need to, oh no, that's the thick one. Right, I just need to attempt this. This pen clogs really easily. But it is very thin. Maybe the problem was the highlight was just a bit too thick and it didn't sort of look right. So this might save us. The only thing about this pen, it doesn't do a smooth line. It sort of railroads. So you've got like a bit in the middle where the ball is that's not got any paint on it, and it sort of scrapes through itself. So it's not amazing. Especially on top of like loads of wax and paint pen, you know. I'm asking a lot of this ballpoint, aren't I, really, to cover. This is not too bad down here. I think it's just where the paper's starting to tear. So what I would usually do at this point, when I've got to, you know, this kind of result, is I would grab a black. Don't freak out that I'm grabbing a black. It's all gonna work out, I promise. Where is a black? I'm sure I had a black polychromo somewhere. Yes, it's under here. So this is where I would then try and just very, very slightly bring back in some of the line work so that it looks like this was meant to happen. And we haven't gone over the edges and it's all good. Sometimes you can be a perfectionist, or at least I can, and it's really annoying. Sometimes I just want to be a bit more free about things, I guess. I've got a white Lumicolour Staedtler pencil here, which is normally very good at coverage. I just want to see if I can do a very light layer of that to get rid of a bit of the dirty mark that's been left. I know you're all going to be screaming at me to leave it alone, because I'm just making it worse, aren't I? Right, you know what? I'm not doing any more. I'm not. Hallelujah. Maybe, maybe I could just do a little bit of a twinkle on here so that, you know, it looks a bit more fantasy and like, not like I've messed up. Maybe. He's outside playing with my youngest. You can hear his little bark. I'm just going to clean this off a bit. Yeah, so basically I'm just going full fantasy colouring now. So what I tried to make look, you know, a bit more realistic has not panned out. So we're just going to go complete like glass, shiny glass eggs that would have this huge sparkle on them. just to hide everything that we've messed up, really. I say we, I really hope you haven't. I'm definitely going to add that disclaimer to the front of the video. And then I think, you know what, I'm just going to leave this alone. I've gone from putting layers on to scraping them off, to putting them on, to scraping them off, to putting them back on. Just tapering these highlights. The only thing left is just to use this colourless blender to thin out some of these lines that I've just put on, because they are a little bit thick. And then I promise you we're done. Right, that's it. I'm done. I'm done. Done. Oh my goodness. That was a bit of a roller coaster, wasn't it? I hope that you've enjoyed it. I know that this was maybe the most rambly video I've ever done, and it all didn't turn out as planned, but at least you can see that 10 years down the line, 11 years down the line, I'm still making mistakes. Where's the black one go? That went in there. Yeah, so really hope you enjoyed it. If you remember from the start of the colour along, we are using a Sarah Renee Clark colour cube card for our palette. It's number 120 and it's this one here. I hope that you think we've done justice to the palette. I think we have. I know that we added in some green, some very greyish, bluish, desaturated green, just for a little bit of variation on the palette, but I think we did well. I think we did well. I thought that the bottom bit of this was going to be the bit that I hated the most. No, I just hate the way that I've done these highlights on the eggs, but no bother, it is what it is. And yeah, I just really hope that you've had fun listening to me ramble, and yeah, I'm still rambling right now, so I'm gonna go. Hope you've loved it. and I hope you're all okay, and I will speak to you very soon on Colour with Claire.